Next set of the ratios are called the profitability ratios. It measures a company's ability to generate income relative to revenue, balance sheet assets, and operating cost and equity. First one is the operating profit margin. It is a profitability or the performance ratio that reflects the percentage of the profit a company produces from its operations prior to subtracting the taxes and interest charges. It is calculated by dividing the operating profit by total revenue and expressing as a percentage. Here in this case, it is showing 18%, which means if I sell a product of 100 rupees, I will gain a profit of 18 rupees. Operating profit margin differs across the industries and often used as a metric of benchmarking one company against the similar companies within the same industry. Next ratio is the return on equity. Return on equity is a measure of the financial performance calculated by dividing the net income by shareholders' equity. Because shareholders' equity is equal to the company's asset minus its debt, return on equity is considered the return on net assets. Return on equity has two-part ratios. One is derived from the income statement and other is from the balance sheet, where net income or the profit is compared to the shareholders' equity. The number represents the total return on equity capital and shows the firm's ability to turn the equity investment into the profit. Return on equity provides a simple metric for evaluating the investment returns by comparing a company's return on equity to the industry's average. Something may be pointed out by the company's competitive advantage if the ratio is good. Next, return on assets. This is the indicator of how the profitable company is related to its total assets. Return on asset gives a manager or investor or the analyst an idea as how the efficient in this company's management is to use its asset to generate the earnings. It displays as a percentage. Higher the return, the more productive and efficient management is in utilizing the economic resources. Earning per shares. Earning per shares is the company's net profit divided by the number of the common shares it has outstanding. Earning per share indicates how much a company makes for each share of its stock and is widely used metric for the corporate profits. A higher the earning per share indicates more value because the investor will pay more for the company with the higher profits. For an investor who is primarily interested in a steady resource of income, the EPS or earning per share ratio can tell him or her the room a company has for increasing its existing dividend. The next one is dividend payout ratio. It is a ratio of the total amount of dividends paid to the shareholders shareholders divided by net income of the company. Or sometimes it is showing as a dividend paid per shares divided by EPS if we dividend payout ratio is converting into per share. Price to earning ratio, it indicates the dollar amount an investor and expect to invest in a company in order to receive $1 of that company's earning. This is why PE sometimes referred to as a price multiple because it shows how much investors are willing to pay per dollar of the earning. Here in this case it is showing 71.35. Which does it mean? It means that at current price buyers pay 71.35 rupees for 1 rupee in trailing year profits. These ratios is earning multiple ratios. These ratios are of two types, trailing and forward. Former is based on the previous period of the earning per share is called the forward. Is called the trailer. If it is based on the future, then it is the forward PE ratios. These three ratios are very effective to analyze whether we had to invest in that company or not from the investor's point of view, because it will show them how they will get the money or generating money by investing in the companies. Like in EPS, the earning per share, it will show them how much dividend they can pay or they can earn from the company, or how much income they can earn for per share investment. In case of the dividend payout ratio, it will show them how much dividend they will be paid back by the company for the earning or for the earning per shares. Price earning ratios, it will show what is the market value of the company, and it is also derived by market value of the company divided by net profit, which means how much other investors are interested to pay the money for one shares. Next it is called book value. What is book value? Book value, name suggests, it is the value of the company as per its books, that is the balance sheet. It is the value that the company's shareholders would receive after company liquidate all its assets and satisfy all its short-term and long-term liabilities. Theoretically, book value of the company is the difference between the value of its total assets and the total liabilities. Therefore, it is called the net asset value. Price to book value ratio is the ratio to compare the firm's market capitalization to its book value. This PB ratio measures the market valuation of a company relative to its book value. The market value of equity is typically higher than the book value of the company. PB ratios is used by the investor to identify the potential investment. The market value of the equity is typically higher than the book value of the company, resulting the ratio above 1. Under certain circumstances of the financial distress or bankruptcy or expected plunge in the earning power, the company's PB ratio can go or die below 1, which means the investor will not invest in that company. Enterprise value is the measure of the company's total value. Enterprise value indicates includes in its calculation the market capitalization of the company, but also short-term and long-term debt, as well as any cash in the company's balance sheet. Enterprise value is used as a basis for many financial ratios that measures the performance of the company. This enterprise value could be thought of like the theoretical takeover price if the company were to be bought. Many consider it as a more accurate representation of a firm's value. The value of the firm's debt, for example, would need to be paid off by the buyers by taking over a company. As a result, the enterprise value provides a much more accurate takeover valuations because it includes the debt in its value calculations. Next one is the dew point chart. Dew point chart, I like this one to memorize what are the ratios and to calculate and see whether the company is performing good or bad compared to its peers in the industries. Dew point chart analysis is the extended examination of the return on equity, a company which includes the net profit margin, asset turnover, and financial leverage. In 1920s, management at the Dew Point Corporation developed this model. That's why it is called dew point analysis or dew point chart. For a detailed assessment of the company's profitability, they made this chart. If we see, here is a three component: net profit margin, asset turnover ratios, and equity multipliers. So net profit margin, under net profit margin there is a net income by revenue. This net income and revenue is coming, if we deduct the expense from the total revenue, we will end up with a net income. So in expense, we can see what are the expense I have and what is the ratios with my total sales. Also, in the asset turnover ratios, the total asset is divided into the current asset and fixed asset, and we can see those cycles that we have seen in the operating cycles ratios. Equity multiplier, in equity multiplier the equity part is coming, so we can see that EPS and all those things. Here is the extended version that I am using, and it is very easy to compare the company's financials with its peers, because all the ratio, if I make a chart of all the ratios in this manner with its peers side by side, then I can say this is the portion where the company is lacking, and this is the portion that company is outperforming from its peers. So this chart giving me the total gist of the companies.